Hi, I'm Mike Brewer, pastor of the Blue Ash Presbyterian Church, and this is Mike's midweek message for July 1st. Thanks for stopping in. Glad to see you today. Recently in my Sunday school class, we were discussing the prophet Isaiah, and we turned our attention to that wonderful vision of Isaiah of a world restored, a world that is brought back to the beauty and peacefulness of Eden. It's from the 11th chapter. I'll read you a few verses here. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the lion and the fatling together. And a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall feed their young, shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The suckling child shall play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den. They shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Isn't that a wonderful, powerful passage? Now, you've probably seen that vision depicted in art, and I'm guessing that you have seen one of the versions painted by Edward Hick, an American painter born in 1780. Hick loved this passage. He was a man of deep religious convictions, and this vision of Isaiah just held out so much promise for a better future, among human beings who were so often at war and struggling against each other. Now, I said you may have seen one of the versions of this painting. He loved this so much that he painted it over and over. He painted the Peaceable Kingdom, and you can find it online if it's not ringing a bell for you. He painted his painting, The Peaceable Kingdom, over 60 times. But art historians, people who study this sort of thing, tell a sad story. They say that as Hick got older, his vision of the future got darker, and his paintings grew more somber, even his paintings of the Peaceable Kingdom. So over time, the animals that started out in his paintings, joyful and at rest and at peace and frolicsome, they grew restless and sullen and occasionally vicious. There's the occasional late painting of an animal actually baring its teeth. And in one very late painting, the child in the painting, probably representing Jesus, the child who in most of the paintings has his hand resting on the mane of the lion. In this particular painting, the child's arm is wrapped around the lion's neck in a kind of choke hold, and the child has a fistful of the lion's mane trapped in his hand, as if he is holding the lion back from attacking. Apparently, as Edward Hick, looked at the world around him and looked at his own life, it became harder and harder for him to hang on to a vision of beauty and hope. Harder and harder to believe that someday we will come out on the other side of hate and violence and fear. And as his vision darkened, so did his paintings. I think it is hard to hold on to hope. We are besieged on every side by stories of mass shootings, stories of power abused, stories of injustice, stories of one person turning against another person in violence for the pettiest of reasons. But we try to hang on to hope anyway, because, well, life isn't much without hope. Even the best life needs a steady infusion of hope. Now, there are a couple of ways to think about hope. There's the pipe dream version of hope. That's hoping to win the lottery or hoping to ace that final exam that you didn't bother to study for. I wouldn't put too much stock in those. But there's also the biblical vision of hope, the kind of hope that Paul the Apostle talks about when he writes to the Roman Christians in the 5th chapter of the letter to the Romans. Let me read a little of that to you. Paul, living in a difficult time and a time of persecution and struggle, Paul writes, "We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint us. Now, if you read the whole chapter, you know that Paul is talking about hopes grounded on the promises of God, hopes rooted in the grace and goodness of God, hopes built on God's determination to restore and heal a runaway world, an unrepentant world. Now, pipe dreams, I don't have much time for, but that kind of biblical hope, I think that's the kind of hope we can stand on. That's the kind of hope that picks us up and props us up. That's the kind of hope that makes each day, even the rough days, worth living, because we know there's a good ending out there, whether it's in sight or not. Life without that kind of hope isn't much. So, thanks for looking in today. Maybe you have found something of worth. I hope so. And until we see each other again, be strong, be safe, be faithful, and hey, be hopeful too. Why not? Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.